Welcome to Canfield and Company. On today's show, we'll talk about City of Troutdale's new city councilor, Cory Brooks. Also, the city council selection process in Troutdale, where there's some sour grapes. We'll also talk about the shakeup at the West Columbia Gorge Chamber of Commerce. Also, East County homeless crisis. It's not illegal to be homeless. These stories and more on today's Canfield and Company. Hi, welcome to Canfield and Company. Did you enjoy that explosion? I thought, hey, let's start the show with a bang. I'm going to put a laugh track on that, Frank. That was good. I'm here with my co-host today. He is also the director of the show, Frank Martin. Any monsters in the control room today, Frank?
Maybe. I don't know. Let's find out.
Okay, we will. Oh, you got monsters. Hold them off, Frank. I know you've got a whip and a chair in there. Anyway, folks, welcome to Canfield and Company. We're going to talk about some topics today. The first topic I'm going to talk about, Troutdale. The city of Troutdale has a new city councilor. His name is Cory Brooks, and he was appointed to replace city councilor Eric Anderson last week after he decided to do bigger and better things. Cory Brooks, the new councilor, he was approved by a 5-2 vote of the City Council. There's a little bit of controversy. The week before this election was made, the City Council had another meeting to interview all, I think there were 11 candidates, and after they interviewed the 11 candidates, then the City Council began to deliberate amongst themselves on who to select as the new city councilor. However, the city council descended into their usual squabbling. I don't know if you know this, but the Troutdale City Council is split between two different groups, and they do not decide on anything. And in attempting to select a city councilor at that meeting, they couldn't decide. They literally couldn't decide. The meeting went on and on and on. Finally, I think out of frustration, Mayor Doug Dowse finally said, you know, we haven't decided. 10:30 is the night. We're not making good decisions. We can't decide. So he just said, hey, we'll put Brian Sheets as the name. And he adjourned the meeting. They couldn't decide, so Mayor just put a name on there. Well, the next day, Mayor Dowse had some second thoughts about it because there was no real consensus. There were two candidates basically at the top of the running. One candidate was Brian Sheets, who was on the Planning Commission in Troutdale and the Budget Committee. He was supported by 3 of the city councilors, and Josh Moriarty was supported by the other city councilors, and it was a deadlock. So it was like Armageddon. You have two sides who could not agree on anything, so they were deadlocked. So I think what the mayor of Troutdale, Doug Dowse, decided was, we can't have that. We can't have a candidate on the city councilor who would just prolong this deadlock, this unproductive and really ugly deadlock. And I think what also drove him to reject both Moriarty and Sheets is that several of the councilors, in their comments at this meeting where they were trying to decide on who to pick, they said, well, I'm going to pick Brian Sheets because we know how he will vote. And at the meeting when the new city councilor was selected, Mayor Dowse brought this up and said, it's really a shame for Brian Sheets and for Josh Moriarty, but other people's speculations that would be created another imbalance on the council, and it just made it too much. It was too much when people were already bragging, we got Brian Sheets on there, we are going to win. You had people around town, councilors saying we already won the vote, because it was ridiculous. So I think the mayor did the right thing by selecting or nominating, actually Councilor John Wilson nominated Cory Brooks as the alternative, because he doesn't have two sides. He's not connected with any of the partisan groups. So when Councilor Wilson selected Cory Brooks, it seemed to take the heat and all the tension out of selecting a councilor. And as a matter of fact, Cory Brooks was approved by a 5-2 vote on the city council, and fortunately the tensions were dissolved and dismissed, and we've got a non-aligned neutral person brand new on the city council, Cory Brooks. Congratulations, Councilor Brooks. I was rather concerned that what I read though in an article in the newspaper, this is in the Gresham Outlook, Brian Sheets, who was not selected, apparently he's a little miffed about it. This is what he told the Outlook, and I'm going to quote. He said, having people that might not be as well qualified serve on a committee or council, I think that's possibly dangerous. You got to be kidding me. You have to be kidding me. I went to the meeting where they interviewed all the candidates, and I went to the meeting where they picked the candidates. All of those city council people who applied to be appointed, they were all well qualified, and any one of them would have been perfectly qualified to serve on the city council. Frank, regarding selection of a new city councilor in Troutdale, did you watch any of the meetings? Did you read any of the articles in the paper? What's your impression of what's going on there in Troutdale?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't see any of it. I heard it on about it on the radio, but none of the controversy you mentioned. But, you know, I'm with you. The loser to the battle goes on the paper and say it's dangerous that his opponent was selected. I mean, that's, you know, to me that sounds like sour grapes, Saul Alinsky tactics, you know, to try to put that seed in people's minds that, you know, something was wrong and it didn't work out the way he wanted.
Yeah, I think it would be better just to you know, take your lumps, take the high road, and congratulate whoever it was that was selected. I mean, it's a small town. Troutdale is a small town, let's face it. We basically know each other. We know all these folks. See them every day. So it's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate. So for Mr. Sheets, and if you're watching this, Brian, you're welcome to come on the show and we can talk about it. We're going to be right back after this brief break. Hi, welcome back to Canfield Company. I'm Rob Canfield, your host, and I've got in the control room our director with the most, Frank Martin. Topic 2 also is about Troutdale and something in Troutdale, the West Columbia Gorge Chamber of Commerce. Things happened rather suddenly about the same time as the controversy was going on in the Troutdale City Council. Is the executive director and 4 people on the executive board of the Columbia Gorge Chamber of Commerce, they resigned. The executive director, Claude Cruz, according to the Outlook, he, when he was faced with supervision by the new Chamber Board President, Tammy Arnold, he said he had an ongoing issue between him and Tammy Arnold. However, based on talking with folks around town, that isn't, I don't think that's necessarily accurate. I think that what happened is, what I heard is that Mr. Cruz was asked to resign because he testified at a city council meeting of his opposition to the city going ahead with the sale of property to East Wind Development, just the Troutdale Urban Renewal Agency, Urban Renewal Project. That's the real reason why the board urged him to resign. That's my opinion. So if, again, Mr. Cruz wants to come on the show and talk about it, that's fine, but that's my opinion. My opinion is that if you were the director of the Chamber of Commerce and you testify at a city council meeting that you're against a project with the most promise that the city has for new development in the last 20 years, I think that was a wrong move. I mean, it's a Chamber of Commerce, and if you're against one of the biggest developments that have come along in a long time, I think maybe it's time for you to look for another position. Now, other executive board members resigned, and I'm not really familiar with the reason for the resignation. But the new executive director, Tammy Arnold, says she is hoping for substantial growth and engagement in the Chamber of Commerce, and she also said with the new board members involved, there's some real excitement about what's going on in the future. So I wish the Chamber good luck in the future. I wish Mr. Cruz well in the future, and I wish the former board members well, and I know they served to the best of their abilities. What do you think, Frank? Does a Chamber of Commerce director, is he obligated to support any kind of commerce, or is he entitled to put his personal opinion above the best interest of the Chamber of Commerce?
Well, I have some opinions about chambers of commerce in general, but I mean, he's got every right to his own opinion. But again, it goes back to just like we were talking about the loser to the election. Sounds like to me he's got a real problem, so he makes a public announcement. I quit. I'm taking my toys. I'm going home. And you know that does not bode well when you're ahead of the Chamber of Commerce trying to promote business. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Another thing that Ms. Arnold said, she said there was a general sense that the Chamber was going in the wrong direction. There was membership declines. There was a controversy over how staff people were being let go, and I think everyone's going to be on board for whatever direction they want to go. I think everyone's going to be on board to make that chamber more successful. So, small town politics are they're better to watch than any soap opera, and it is serious stuff because every town there's things they want to accomplish, and there's always different opinions on how to accomplish those things. I would only hope that everyone could just take a deep breath and let's all try to get along. We can agree to disagree without things getting heated and hostile, because as I mentioned before the break, we all live in the same community. We see each other all the time. It's a very, very small world when you talk about small towns. So I just hope everyone can just take a deep breath, let bygones be bygones, and let's just move forward and do some good things. Okay, topic number 3. Let's move right into topic number 3. Springwater Trail on Gresham and Portland. The homeless. Question, Frank, do the cluster of churches and organizations in Gresham and the Portland area, by offering food and shelter, are they encouraging people to congregate along the Springwater Trail? What do you think?
I don't think they're encouraging people to camp there, but I do think that their actions might show a tact approval of them taking over our public parks.
I think what we were talking about a while ago is the county, the city, they don't really respond to the issues of homelessness until someone gets, for instance, we're talking about the shooting in Portland, when a homeless person shot another homeless person. All of a sudden, it's a big deal. Or on the Springwater Trail, where City of Gresham put up a fence to keep the homeless people away from a natural area on the Springwater corridor, and then whoever knocked the fence down, and then if the City of Gresham decided, okay, anybody who goes back into the area is going to be trespassing, and then they arrested them when they did so. Then you had the protests at the City of Gresham, and the council, at the Gresham City Council meeting, you had protests, and the city actually had the police arrest those protesters. They were church pastors and a bunch of others. They had them arrest them, causing even more escalation. It's just gotten ugly and out of hand. I think Gresham was wrong, number one, in placing a no trespassing area on the area. They should, before they did any of that, I'm wondering why they didn't come up with a battle plan, so to speak, with Human Solutions, Salvation Army, some of the other churches who are involved with the homeless issue, with Multnomah County even though their track record is so and so. I don't know why they did at least make an attempt to reach out to the homeless folks there on the Springwater Trail and figure out, ask them, any of them, can you use some help? Will you help us help you? Instead of just going in with arrest warrants blazing, kicking people out of city council meetings and arresting them. I just think there was a better way to go. After all, it's not a crime to be homeless. Certainly, if people are assaulting each other, conducting vandalism, stealing, if they're doing those sorts of things, sure, you want to arrest the lawbreakers. But if people are just homeless, and if they have nowhere else to go, I mean, I don't have an answer, but the answer is certainly not to arrest them. The answer is to do everything you can to get some resources to help the folks who actually would want some help. What's your reaction to the homeless situation going on right now in Portland and Gresham, Frank?
I put it at the foot at some of the Multnomah County commissioners and the city of Portland and then some, because they've been slowly trying to push their homeless out of Portland. So now it's starting to foster into East County areas like Gresham and Wood Village and Troutdale. And it's, even going down into the Gorge a little bit.
Right.
And but I agree with you. The city council meeting, there's a raw execution of the right ideas. People went in there to that city council meeting to protest. But the way they protested, it resulted in arrests. So, I fault both sides on that issue, but I agree with you. It just seems like, government ignores the homeless until there's a problem, and then when there's a problem, it escalates.
I totally agree. They ignore it until there's a problem, and then they're embarrassed because of their lack of action. Now, according to the Gresham Outlook, they're saying that some Gresham residents feel that the churches and organizations who offer a daily meal and a daily shelter are drawing the homeless population to the city. Well, I've got news for you, folks. Homeless have always been here. They've always been here. It's not like they've come all of a sudden because these churches are feeding them and giving them some shelter. Who's going to turn away some folks like that who have no resources? They, for whatever circumstance, they end up on the street. And I know that I think statistics say that 1 out of 3 homeless people have drug, alcohol issues, and I'm not sure the percentage that are mental health issues, but there are folks who don't have these issues, but still through circumstances, they're homeless. What are you going to do? You're going to just ignore them? You can't ignore them. You can't treat them like dirt. They're still human beings, and they need to be treated with respect. One of the churches at the city council meeting in Gresham that was where they were arrested, Steve Kimes, who's pastor of the Anawim Christian Community Church, he says, Frank, you agree with him, he says the city's trying to push the homeless out of Portland, plain and simple. And he said that 65% of all homelessness in East County come from East County. And he said that Gresham needs to take responsibility for this. And I think I agree with this. Gresham is what? Isn't it the second or third largest city right now, Frank? Does that sound about right?
I do believe it's supposed to be the third right now.
Yeah. So I know people are concerned with livability. You don't want things broken into, crime, that sort of thing. But livability, you have to look at the whole picture, not just livability of those of us who are fortunate to be in a good situation. Livability also consists of taking care of those who need help. And I hope everyone can keep that in mind.
I'll quickly put in something kind of supporting what you're saying. Look what happened, what you and me were talking about a couple episodes back. When Multnomah County opened up that homeless shelter in the site of the Black Cauldron Strip Club.
Oh, yes.
On Rockwood off 160, about 161st in Stark.
Oh, yes.
And it's just inside of Portland, but I mean, you know, Multnomah County said we want to push them from downtown to further east. So, yeah, they're further east and they're continuing to go east more. So the problem is kind of exasperated by not my backyard syndrome. You know, we don't care. We care about the homeless, but I don't want them in my backyard, and that's what's happening.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. So, I don't think there's been homeless for, I think, ever since mankind's been around. I wish I knew a solution to it. I don't think anybody has a solution, but I think one of the functions of government and the other agencies that are helping is to help those who who want to have help. Sure, criminals, if you break the law, you got to pay the consequences, but if you're just homeless because you're homeless, you got to treat them with respect, and we should do everything we can for them.
You know, I lived in Utah for 10 years, and I was where I lived in my apartment in a town called Riverdale, was very near where a lot of the homeless people come off the railroad trains.
Uh-huh.
And there was a rescue mission down in Ogden, and the same argument that some of these people around in Gresham was being said about that rescue mission that's been there since 1892.
Right.
You know, you have the rescue mission in there, and it tracks them. Well, I mean, what are you going to do with them? You're going to have the government take care of them? I doubt if that will ever happen.
Government doesn't seem to be doing a good job at anything.
And the same thing happened in Rapid City, South Dakota. There was a homeless shelter down there. I used to volunteer there and make meals. But they can only carry so many people, and then they have to turn the rest of them away.
Yeah, and you know, Tana and I, my wife Tana and I, we volunteered for Frontier Missions down there in Troutdale for many years. We volunteered for Salvation Army for several times, and it just the agency is just overwhelmed with they need more resources. Even the Oregon Food Bank, which does a great job of collecting food for people who need it, it's just overwhelming to try and support the people. And I'm not going to get into the politics of the economy, you know, minimum wage, that sort of thing, but it seems like in Oregon there's more and more people who are not working or underemployed and just having a tough time, maybe even more so than the rest of the nation. What do you think about that, Frank?
I think it's just the way that Oregon treats them. It's not that there's more of them. It just seems like Oregon doesn't do as many programs, and when they do, you know, they're kind of selective of who can be part of those programs, and that's another issue altogether. Right.
That's it for the show today. If you have any questions or comments about our show, you can reach me at troutdalecanfield@gmail.com. That's the good old email address. And you can check out the webpage. It's robertcanfield.com. Isn't that easy to remember? robertcanfield.com. Anyway, thanks again, Frank Martin, in the wonderful control room. And that's it for us today. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.